you. Yay for you. Thank you. It's great to be here. So I know we're called 6, but I think we should be called 6,000. This is like so many people in the room. It's so exciting. Greetings from Planned Parenthood Nation. We are honored to be with you. And thanks for coming from all parts of this country and for the fight that you make. Before we, I have a few things I wanted to say, but first, for years I was a union organizer, and I organized hotel workers and hospital workers and nursing home workers, and so I always like to give it up for the folks that fed us tonight. Will you please thank our servers? Means we didn't have to cook. Thank you to the servers. Well, thank you to Nick and his team and for leading the charge, and what an incredible conference. I've just been hearing about all the stuff and seeing all my friends from the campaign trail and folks who I know are on the front lines. I was really excited to get to be here tonight because for the foreseeable future, and actually for every single day that I've been alive, it is up to the states to lift and lead the resistance, and you are the folks who are actually doing that work every single day. It is so miserable here in Washington, D.C. It feels like the cavalry has arrived, so thank you for showing up, Thanks for being here. I mean, we need your voices, whether you're in the minority or the majority, and I think there's just no more important time to champion a robust and progressive platform. And it was great to hear that Nick said, last year we had this conference a month after the election, and folks were kind of still picking themselves up, and this year, this is unbelievable, the energy in this room and the energy around the country for fighting back for progressive vision. And I want to thank you for that, because I think it's, we know there are a lot of issues under assault, but one of the things I want to thank you for is that we cannot have a progressive vision in this country. We cannot take back political power if we don't also stand up every single day for reproductive health care, including safe and legal abortion in America. So thank you for doing that and not giving up on any of us. I know it's no surprise to any of us that women have been in the crosshairs of this administration since day one. But the other good news is since day one, women have been on the front lines fighting back. And when I say day one, I do mean literally day one, the day after the inauguration, the largest marches in the history of the United States of America, when folks marched for women's equality. I mean, it's incredible. I've been an organizer all my life, but 1 in every 100 people in this country took place in a march. And it wasn't only here in Washington, obviously. Every single state, every single continent. One of my favorite pictures is thousands of people packed into Salt Lake City, Utah, into the Capitol, right? Folks marched in the rain in Tallahassee, Florida, and they braved a blizzard in Fairbanks, Alaska. Yeah, let's give a shout out to folks who actually do the tough stuff. Perhaps the best, though, was the scientists that were marching in Antarctica. But we march because we know as progressives and we know as women we've never gotten anything without a fight. And the war paint hasn't come off since. So one of the first fights that they picked was when Speaker Paul Ryan announced that as of January 27th, they were going to repeal the Affordable Care Act and defund Planned Parenthood. It was going to be on the president's desk for signature. And the minute he singled us out, you could not get a call into his office because the congressional switchboards were shut down. Folks all across the country phoning and calling, and it wasn't just that once. And if he didn't know before that 1 in 5 women in this country has been to Planned Parenthood for health care, he knows it now for sure. There were so many important fights during the Affordable Care Act battles. One of my favorite was the first time they tried to pass it when the word went out that the Freedom Caucus had gone over to the White House to negotiate the final deals on Trump care, just those little last issues. And what they were doing over there was negotiating away maternity benefits for women in America. And I was thinking, I'm at the Capitol and thinking, God, I wish I could get a photograph of that room because I know it's a bunch of white men sitting at the table. And wouldn't you know, Vice President Mike Pence tweeted out a photo of them all sitting there just a couple of minutes later, which was fabulous, you know? So got that out there. And then, of course, so many great memes came out. One of my favorite was the golden retriever sitting around the room discussing the end of feline care in America. And that's really what it's felt like. But the great thing is the outrage in this country over Trump care, I think it bottomed out. The support for Trump care bottomed out at about 12% support, and it led to the first failure of the vote in Congress, and then in July, the second failure, and then again, there was Mitch McConnell's Hail Mary attempt in September. And so if you're scoring back at home, the record for Trump care is currently Senator McConnell 0, women 3, okay? So shut that sucker down. But it happened because folks have been mobilizing around the country. It didn't happen because anything that happened in Washington, D.C. It's because folks never, ever gave up, and it couldn't come at a more important time. And every day there seems like a new attack on women's health care. Incredibly, as you know, just last Friday, the Trump administration managed to go after the one thing that basically everyone in this country likes. And you know what that is? Birth control, exactly. I mean, I don't know that these guys understand that birth control, some of them think it's some kind of social issue. Do you know that the average woman in America spends 5 years getting pregnant and having kids, and spends an average of 30 years trying not to have children? Okay, that's a lot of health care. And I'm proud to say, because of Obamacare and because we got birth control covered for about 62 million women in this country at no cost, we are at a record all-time historic low for teenage pregnancy in the United States of America. Yep. And we're at a 30-year low for unintended pregnancy. So what we're showing is, of course, that birth control works. So obviously no surprise that the minute he announced this, that Trump announced this, it enraged folks everywhere. And with no time to waste, women use the hashtag, and a lot of other folks, Hands Off My BC, to tell their own stories about how they had used birth control to help with their endometriosis or with their ovarian cysts. And yes, with the radical idea that they should be able to have sex without getting pregnant, okay? How about that? Just that sex is a good thing. But look, I'm not going to talk any more about the federal fights, because you know these fights, you're waging them and fighting them every single day back home. And year after year, you keep throwing yourselves in front of the steamroller. Representatives like Alabama House Minority Leader Anthony Daniels, who is here tonight and who is standing up in one of the toughest states. We just awarded him at the CBC lunch in a state that is incredibly hostile for women's health. And Representative Park Cannon, who introduced the Whole Women's Health Act in Georgia. These are some tough states, my friend, and I come from Texas, so this I know. And there's so many folks, though, in this room that are champions for women. Collectively, you have helped to defeat 100 restrictive abortion bills, and that's just this year alone. So give yourself a round of applause. And since I know some of my friends from Texas are here, I got to say, we even managed in Texas to defeat the hateful bathroom bill. So let's give it up for folks in Texas. That was amazing. In Mississippi, you took down every single restriction prior to the first committee deadline. That never would have happened without the hard work of the legislators in the audience today, or the leadership of Caucus Chair Sonia Williams-Barnes. Thank you. Exactly. These folks need to come visit us in the South and see just what it's like. And everywhere around the country, it's been great to see the handmaids out, right, in full force. One of my favorite pictures was this summer when dozens of Illinois women and men dressed in their very best red robes and white wimples to send Governor Rauner a message, which is the voters of Illinois are watching, and he